Hello, everybody. How you doing? And it's Wee Jud is over there. We'll have to pull you across. I can't see your ugly mug. How you doing? You're very welcome to the podcast. This is Paddy, Little Jud, and Mikey over there, Baldy's Blades. And we have a very special. And if anybody knows me and knows my love of UK Cutlers, I have my dream guest that I've waited a long time for. This is Michael, and Michael is the CEO, head kick the backside fella of the Arthur Wright & Sons. And it's his son, Ashley, who I blether on about his custom knives, but I also collect Arthur Wright knives. And Michael is the man who bravely we'll get to Michael's story in Arthur Wright. Michael, you're very welcome, by the way.
Hang on a second, Hang on a second, Michael. Just before we go to Mike, I have to address the elephant in the room, which is the agent in the other corner. Mikey Newman is in disguise for some reason. He's wearing the most ridiculous shirt on earth.
It's not summertime. Get up! Come on!
He doesn't want to give away his persona.
Summertime, enjoying the sun. Come on! It's warm today.
You look as if you're about to do a performance in Vegas, for crying out loud.
I am indeed. A drag act.
Sorry for interrupting.
No. You're right for interrupting. So, Michael, let's hear a bit about yourself. Where you were from, what your I don't want to hear all about your early life. That was nothing to do with knives, I'm sure. But what your sort of first step into work was, and I want to see. We'll take that journey as we go through the night.
Right then, good evening, everybody. As you have been told, I am Michael. I am the current owner of Arthur Wright's. I am 59 at the minute and have been doing this nonsense for approximately 45 years, since probably about the age of 13, family related. I'm third generation die sinker and cutler. Ashley, as you know, now is fourth generation, and you can say that we were born into this. I left school on a Friday, aged just under 16. I had Saturday and Sunday off. Monday morning, bang, I was starting work. That was it. And have done virtually every day ever since. Brief hiatus when we made redundant in 92. Then went on to make hip flasks for a bit. And then met this nice fella called John Maylam, who needed a hand, as it was. And my father saw him running around Abbeydale Industrial Hamlet, just looking a bit lost. He was trying to train his milkman, of all people, to work a lathe for him. That wasn't working well. He left. My dad had a word with the milkman, and the milkman said, "I'm fed up with this, can't do this." And he said, "Right, I know the very man that you need." Came home that night and said, "I've met a man, and you and him will get on like that." And as the rest, they say, is history. I came down to start to work with John. The company was called MG Tools at that time, making pottery tools. So we started that. Or he was there and I just joined in. And then the previous owner, bar two of Arthur Wright's, was ready to retire. And they were one of John's bigger customers, selling parts too. And unbeknown to me, he bought the company, took us out for a meal, me and my wife, and halfway through dinner said, "Oh, by the way, I bought Arthur Wright's, blah, blah, blah. I'm making you general manager of it on Monday." And that's when my appetite and everything dropped out the floor.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So I suddenly became a cutler. I had been in cutlery on the peripheries via that with Joseph Elliott's. I say as a job as a die sinker, I was making the bolster tools and part tools, unbeknowing that 1 year, the company that I was making knives for, I would end up owning. How bizarre is that? Or that's scary, or whatever. But in a nutshell, that's it. Yeah, birthright, if you want.
I'm so glad I never asked. That was what a fantastic way to segue into a nice video. Can I ask you?
Being born in the wrong place at the wrong time.
What's a diecast?
A die sinker.
Die sinker. If you cutlery, there are. How do you describe this one? If you look at a spoon or a fork, the pattern on the handle is cut into two steel blocks in reverse, as if you press something into with plasticine, with hammer and chisel, files and the likes of, and then put into big press, and then bang together, and out pops the handle for cutlery, teaspoons, knives, forks, entree dishes, all the big stuff, and everything like that. Tankard handles. Yeah, look up Diecast on Google and whatever, and a toolmaker as well. And that was what I started out as. And then I came into the cutlery side of it. I brought my experience as an engineer into the cutlery side, because everybody else in there were cutlers doing it the cutlery way, or as I saw it, why are you doing it wrong?
Yeah.
The big thing to say, but that's the way I looked at it. It said, why are you doing it like that? Oh, we've always done it like that. But they'd been taught by people that had always done it like that.
Yeah.
And there is so much easier, so much better ways to do it. And then started changing the way that the company was working, and brought it up to the state that it has been and is now. Yeah, there we go. And we're up to, today at 7:30. We're still trying to do it. Haven't finished the quest yet. Still need things to perfect, to move on. It's part of the big plan for me and Ashley when I retire, and he takes over and carries on from there. So always something to do, something new to learn, whatever.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
But when what's the time frame for that? Because I mean, the reason I asked, Michael, is that I know that I look like a child compared to these two Egypts, but that's just down to plastic surgery. I work for the health service, so get a friend and family.
I also had a shave this morning. Yeah.
You and me both. I only shave every 3 or 4 days because I have never gone through puberty. But enough of that. And I'm thinking about. I'm on the sort of lead up to retirement myself, so I'm always asking people, what's the time frame for this? Or is it within 10 years?
There is no time frame. Age is just a number. So I'm 59 at the minute. We've done away with retiring age at 65, and financially, I can't retire yet anyway. I have paid the mortgage off, but the rest of it, whatever state our pensions are going to be in, but that doesn't matter. I'm not going to go sit at home and wait for the man with the box to turn up. I enjoy what I do, still do. So long as my wife gets fed up with me and is happy to kick me out of the door, we'll carry on as long as we're able to. And whatever. There is no timeline, kind of thing. Because obviously, we know there's a finite time for all of us on the planet. So, but
obviously, it's a labor of love for you guys. So, I mean, that's why I was wondering. It's not something that you're obviously going to feel forced to get to give up or to get tired of in a hurry. So, it's still keeping you going in terms of keeping you engaged with it.
Oh yeah, no, I love what I do. There are days I hate what I do. I'm glad I took over. I don't know why I took over. I regret taking over. Whatever's happening at that particular time, at that particular day, swings and roundabouts. Everybody's job is the same. And I've told the Ashley when he started, when he was 13, I think he got conjunctivitis at school. Couldn't go to school, so we brought him down here, sat him in front of the fly press. He said, right, start chopping bits out, and he did that. Got the bug, left school, left college, came to work, and I basically told him, so right, the job's yours, but don't stay on my behalf. You've got to stay for yourself. You've got to like what you do and whatever. There's no commitments, no ties to me whatsoever. We could always find somebody else, have a go, and in about 2 weeks' time, he'll be 30. So he must like something about it.
Exactly.
That's it. So it's a labour of love, a thankless task some days, and a pain in the proverbial backside most of the other days. But then you will look at a tray full of stuff and go, yeah, I like that, happy with that. Yeah. And then you start all over again. Eat, die, repeat, make knives. That's it.
I think that is lovely, because not everybody gets to do something that has a passion involved in it. A lot of us, like myself, I had lots of jobs, but there was very few I had a big passion for doing. They were just, I took them because, like you, I left school at 15. I was expelled, went home, told my dad I got expelled, started work on the Monday, and that was it. Away I went at 15. So exactly the same as you. There was no problem getting a job then. Whereas now, you know, in this last sort of 20 years, jobs can be quite hard for some people to find. Never mind get one that you actually like.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's taken me a long time to get to where I like it at the end of the day, because there's always been somebody you work with who's an arse or you don't like or whatever. But yeah, now that I'm the boss and whatever, I don't have that issue anymore. Everybody's good and whatever, but there are swings and roundabout days. And the likes of, but like you said, jobs harder to find. And then when John, previous boss, did bring up the subject of retirement and offered me the company, it was a hard decision to make.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was an easy decision to make at, what would have been then, 53, 54. Great. Do I throw myself onto the job market now and see what happens? And the answer, the no-brainer answer, obviously, is no. What do I know about running a business? Absolutely nothing. What do I know about making stuff? Quite a bit. What could possibly go wrong?
I mean, that 50 is a nice age to take that sort of a jump, because you're pretty settled as as a father and a husband. You're sort of at that sort of leveling off period.
Oh yeah, no, there's a degree of maturity in it. Well, but the key thing was 2 years early we'd paid the mortgage off. If I hadn't paid the mortgage off, I wouldn't have taken this leap, and I would have needed more security than. At the end of the day, you never knew what was going to happen. And was it 6 months after we started it, give or take? I was on Salvage Hunters. Drew and T came down. Wonderful day that was, and whatever showed that. And then when that came to air, that literally was the week before lockdown. And the world just, as we all know, imploded. And I'm just sat there going, oh my God, what have we done? What happens now? And luckily, everybody stayed at home. They were all being paid, and they went, "Oh, I've got money to spend on knives," and they started buying knives. And believe me, they started buying knives. So much so that I was telling people that come the apocalypse, it'll be hand-to-hand combat with pocket knives in supermarkets.
That's what I'm planning on.
But the trouble being that if everybody with Arthur Wright knives will spend so long trying to get them open because of the strong springs on them that'll.
Okay, it's a challenge. It's the one key thing that you'll never get right. What we think is a nice, easy opening knife. Some people do, and then other people can't open it. And it's finding the balance, but the difference is the tooling is, I have absolutely no idea how old it is. And going back to the way that the Cutlers made it, it was somewhere you could almost say hashed together kind of thing. But I will have to wait financially, really, for the tooling to become to the end of its life before we can then financially go, right, I've got to make this, because if you do one knife, for instance, there's a blade, there's a spring, there's a web, there's a bolster tool. So what's that? Blade, spring, web, bolster. 4 piercing tool, 5 knives. And if you go at £800 to £1,000 per tool, that's just an astronomical amount. And our pattern book runs at, is it 80, 85 different knives somewhere along the way. Multiply all that up and you'll never do it. So we just have to find the happy ground somewhere along the way. We're trying.
It's a man's knife, though, isn't it? It's a man's knife, and it will sort like the boys from the men.
Absolutely, or the Wendy's slip.
The Wendy's.
Slippy is another one of your biggest customers. Has just said that only Wendy's like me have a problem with the snap on your knife.
I can just see this made that the printer on Ashley's phone is very small, which probably means it will be time for me to start doing glasses. Yeah.
But one of the other guys, William McLass, was just saying that he has one. And that it takes him an hour to open it because he breaks nails on it over time. And he describes it as a hippo chomping a croc. But his last comment, Michael, is that he absolutely loves it. So they're a big hit out there, it has to be said.
And then the other side, we've got people that phone and say, I want a strong pull, I want a nice flick on it. So, you'll never win. I'll never win.
No, but actually you're winning, because everybody who I think everybody who likes Arthur Wright knives buys them because of the consistency of that spring.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I do, because I love
The consistently hard to open knife. Brilliant.
consistently difficult.
I just like
strong spring.
Yeah, I just like a strong spring on all my knives. But it's very hard now to get a company, because they're all very woke and they make them weak. I think an awful lot of companies now make weak knives, and it absolutely turns me away from a knife when they're weak.
I think you've spoiled this now, because I can't even consider a squishy knife now if it hasn't at least got a 6 or 7 pull, and that's an Arthur Wright 6 or 7 pull. It's not like a normal one. I can't even look at it. And I was talking, Mikey, when we got the Saudis off Ashley, just because everybody will complain.
That's annoying. I'm just reaching through side because it's got to go. It's got to make that noise. Yeah.
And this is the thing. It's not just the opening of it being difficult. Mikey and I were just noting that, see, once this locks up, it's like a flaming fixed blade. You know, when it locks up, it locks up. There's no sort of safety issue with one of the Arthur Wright knives. It just doesn't work that way. You know, it's not going to close on you by accident or anything like that.
I've not had a knife close on me. You have to do something stupid to get a knife to close on you.
That's true. Well, I mean, you're looking at stupid. Excuse me.
So, is there any questions there that are put up on the screenable?
Actually, no. There's no
right.
questions.
Come on, boys. Give us some questions. We're ready to take questions. Mikey, have you got anything you want to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, all the steel that you use for your knives, is it all from Sheffield?
Yeah, we're tripping over steelwork. Every corner there's steelworks around here, whatever. No, unfortunately, I have to dispel that rumour. The answer is I don't know. I go to the steel stockists, ask for the particular grade, and it turns in. That's it.
Happy days. That's enough.
Yeah. So where it comes from down that source, I probably could trace it and find it. But I've never really wanted to or needed to, whatever. But yeah, the Sheffield steel is a great. Now it's almost a myth kind of thing. There are 2 steelworks left within the city, just. But what they produce and where it goes, I couldn't tell you. It may be part of it. It may not. I can't even remember for the life of me where the steel comes from. In fact, it's a third party, a slitting mill that I use anyway. So they actually source it beyond me.
Right.
So that's it. But it comes in as what we require, CS 75, 70, whichever one it is. It hardens, it works, and hopefully, so far, everybody's happy with it. There would come a time when we'd like to upgrade the steel, but unfortunately, the price of steel and everything else has gone through the roof. It's just not viable, because I'll have to buy up to about 3/4 of a ton of it at a time. And I think when I took over, steel was £800 a ton. And my last lot was £2,700 a ton.
Whoa.
That's gone up a bit.
That was a hell of a. But if I'd have known that when I first started, the money that I'd got to invest in the company, I would have bought about 4 tons of steel and still be sat in it now. But hindsight is a wonderful thing.
A wonderful thing, yeah.
Yeah. And the other one is brass. Brass was, I think I was about £1,800 a ton when we took over. I've just bought some now, £4,500, and I've only got 400 kilos of it. So I've not got to buy nickel yet, but I will do probably in the next 2 or 3 months, and I'm not looking forward to that one.
Is stainless steel rather than nickel? Is that a choice to use for bolsters that you would think of going down the line?
It could be, but the only problem with stainless steel is then it resists any kind of solder out there to adhere to the end of the webs before we start making the knife.
Right.
The flux and the acid that you have to use to create some kind of fixture for the solder to run to on stainless steel is beyond nasty. I know this from the hip flask days. and it would literally rot everything. It would rot the benches, it would rot your hands. It was awful stuff. And yeah, that's just to get stainless steel to solder together. Really, really nasty. But whereas lead-free solder, now that you just dip into a pot, like plumber stuff, it just gets hot. You see it run. Oh, everything's lovely. I have been looking around for an alternative, but at the minute there isn't an alternative. Do we go down the steel route? Yes, it's possible. But then again, the flux will react with the steel and create all kinds of awfulness with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing, like, because I know a lot of the Chinese companies and those companies, they're bringing in fantastic knives now. They're all machine built, and factory built. It's all done in a proper line where the machines are all thousands upon thousands of pounds per machine. But they're using the stainless steel, and they must have a process that does it easily, because they just use steel springs. They use steel end caps and bolsters, and they look nice. But to me, I love a traditional knife to have brass liners. I just think that really tops off the look of a traditional knife for me, just personally.
No, I agree. It gives it soul and gravitas to it. The other one, you can't see the differential between the scales and the spring and everything else. It all blends into. I mean, the Chinese knives are good. I will stand up hand on heart and say, yeah, they're just as good as anybody else's nowadays. Yeah. But whatever process used, whether it be spot welding or whatever on the back, I don't know. I have no information on that. But there is something that they do. But then a steel knife, like I said, it looks machine made. Yeah. And I know people out there, us included, like the handmade stuff. That has the soul with it. But hopefully there's a little bit of us that we impart in everyone. Normally blood somewhere along the way.
Skin as well, if the acid and everything. Skin, blood, yeah, no, you're pushing against an open door here, Michael. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I mean, nickel age is lovely too. I love nickel age, and I tend not to even clean my nickel that much. I'll wipe it with a cloth, but I tend to try to put at least amount of case paste on it, even when I'm cleaning my knives, because I love the way it ages. Or maybe I'm
it's the same with brass. Brass will do that, but brass will do that quicker. Then you run.
Okay, I have a couple of quick fire questions from the crowd in the chat for you, Michael. Okay. So the first question is, and this is from Stuart McRae, and this is just an easy one to ease yourself into, and you don't have to feel guilty, because I've got a sneaking suspicion I know what the answer is if it's the same as Ashley's. What do you carry knife-wise?
This will surprise you, a Leatherman.
Seriously?
Yes.
Michael, that's not a knife.
That's the engineer in me.
That's the engineer,
because I have the pliers, and I will use those more than. He just happens to have a blade. But no, I'll surprise you and say I don't carry a knife of my own. I one that we make at the end of the day, because we see them day in, day out, kind of stuff. But if I need one, there'll be one in the car, in the wardrobe, in a shirt pocket, somewhere. They're littered throughout my world, left and right. My day-to-day carry, and I'll prove it.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Question answered, Stuart. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I'll add on to Stuart's question. What's the favorite knife that you make?
Oh, I know this answer. The favourite knife I make is whichever one is not giving me grief at this present minute in time.
So, which knife is not giving you grief currently?
Whichever I'm not working on at the time, whichever there's not hundreds of him stuck in front of me. No, I don't have a particular favourite of ours, because I don't. Again, I'm going to annoy people. I don't objectify them like that. I see it as a product that we make that needs to be of the quality of every single one of them for that very reason, and they all should all go out the door or look exactly the same and whatever. Right. So there isn't. I don't have a favourite of ours.
So let me rejig the question for you. What is your best seller then? What is our favourite Arthur Wright knife?
Lamfoot or Barlow.
Yeah,
Lamfoot or Barlow.
We-
And what kind of numbers are we talking about, Michael? If
Well,
you could
we normally, there will be a button somewhere on the accounting software that will tell me how many we sell. I don't actually, there you go, to prove a point. I don't actually have a button on the accounting software that will tell me how many. I don't count them. I do it on plastic bags, because every knife that goes out gets wrapped up in a plastic bag, and I buy the plastic bags in about 3,000, 5,000 at a time, and then all of a sudden we'll look round and all the plastic bags have gone. And you go, wow, that's it. Or we'll make, it's weird when you look at it. Or we'll make blades in 500 runs at a time, because that's the minimum quantity that the grinder will accept. And you go, right, I've got 500 Lamfoot blades. We're happy for a bit. And then you turn around and you go, right, I need 20 more Lamfoot blades. You go, we haven't got any. So what do you mean we haven't got any? I've just cut some. Yeah, they've all gone. So yeah, I just just look at it on empty tins of blades that should be there, that were there last week, that we've used up. But because we sell them in 1s, 5s, 10s, 20s, there's no specific big number. I mean, I do get the odd one that'll do 100 here, 100 there. But it's not like I said, right, that's 3 orders. They've all gone now. They go out in strange numbers. So you don't really, well, I should keep count of them, but there's that much to do. You never do. Or you think, right, I've got enough there. And then you look next week and I've given somebody a list and they've gone upstairs, somebody, Beth or Ashley, obviously. They've gone upstairs, they made them, and then they come round and said, we've got no more Lamfoot blades, we've got no more etching blades. But every single one out of the entire group disappears. Some obviously faster than the others. They used to be at one point. In fact, actually, this year, peach haven't shifted at all. Strangely enough.
yeah,
but there's no. You can't pin down to it a rhyme or reason or to say why, or if there's a trend or anywhere like that might do it. They just.
I got my first peach this year, and all the years I've been collecting, I got my first peach. Beth made it for me.
That one with Beth 23 stuck on it.
Yeah, Beth on it, and she put PPP on the Ricasso for me.
Oh yeah, no, I remember that one. Yeah,
the channel name. Yeah, and I've now got another. I bought a couple of large Arthur Wright ones since then. And I've never liked them. They were not that I didn't like them. I never used them or had them before. And then I got those, and I think it's more aesthetically. I love looking at the knife now. I don't particularly use it a whole lot, but it's a lovely knife.
Oh yeah, no, they are the lovely knives or whatever. But there's nothing. The peach, from a making point of view, is one of the ones that doesn't give us any grief. It always works. It's always lovely, and yeah, it does its job. But for some reasons, no, peach just haven't been a thing for the last 8-9 months or so. Probably like that. Yeah. Obviously, tomorrow it'll be a completely different story. But strange things. The other one is the tackler, which is the sheepfoot with a ground off edge, again, which does make a lovely knife, Wharncliffe style blade. But they're few and far between.
Well, given that there might be different sort of demands at different times of the year and whatever, would you? I mean, one of the questions that we've just got in, Michael, is sort of as a response to the knives that Ashley made us. The sodbuster pattern that you guys have done has, I mean, it's basically set our group on fire. Everybody's been really very impressed with it. So, is there anything coming out of Ashley's custom lines that you guys might consider introducing to your mainstream line?
I'm sorry to say no at the minute. I want to put it this way: there are 3 of us. And it's hard enough keeping on top of what we've got at the minute. Yes, I'd love to introduce other patterns. There are 2 or 3 semi-newish things coming out recently. Look out for Heine Haynes on one of them in the next week or 2. It's more of a variation on the likes of, and guys at Twisted Assisted, they want a lock knife. So we're going to start that process hopefully towards the end of next week. He came down to see me yesterday. So there's always going to be something somewhere, but
Fantastic.
actually at the minute he's happy doing his knives
Yeah.
to see how he goes doing what will eventually be his thing. That's the kind of thing. It's not a case. I mean, we could literally drop half of Arthur Wright's pans now and then just concentrate on his. But if we did that, that'd mean I'd be making them, Beth would be making them. They wouldn't be his. Would that then lose the edge that he wants to keep to it and suddenly flood the market kind of thing? I know three of us can't really flood a market.
What about taking? Are you liable to take on another apprentice as Beth's coming to the end of her time?
I'd like to. The key thing with that basically is finances down at the end of the day. If I was to take somebody on tomorrow, by the end of the month, I would have to pay them a full wage. And for somebody to come down to say, I've justified what I've done is hard. So, I mean, I'm still paying off loans for taking out the business anyway. So until we're on a more settled financial front at the minute, no. Also, what people don't know, I've actually trained up, believe it or not, over 11 different people to become cutlers. And so far, the only one that stayed the course is Ashley.
Wow.
Not because he's my son, and whatever. Yeah, the current one, I think Beth will be number 12 or number 13 somewhere along the way. But the others, for whatever reason, haven't stayed. During lockdown, I lost to ill health. Thankfully, not COVID, but health-related issues. Took them out of the mix from there. So effectively, we had to start all over again. Beth was a godsend when I just got an email someday. Hello, my name's Beth. I'm a fine arts blacksmith and I want a job as a cutler. And from that, I got to come in 2 days later. A job interview lasted, in fact, where are we going now? We've been on 32 minutes at the minute. So her job interview lasted 1/6 of the time that we've been on. Literally 5 minutes. And then that was it. With the words, come on, have a go. I explained everything to her. This is what we're going to, let's see what happens. And she went, cool, I've got a job. And she's an absolute pocket rocket now. She's a star. Any of the moves that you get out of the door invariably now are made by Beth and Ashley. I have my 10 penneth here and there, but my job really at the end of the day is making parts and bits and pieces and keeping the place running. And then they make the knives. And then every so often when it goes a little bit quieter, I can do that and do things now. I've got, it's in front of me now, about 150, 200 knives on the go that are going to be mine. And I can't remember the last time that I did a proper sit-down job of this. But I've always got a hand in it somewhere along the way. The infrastructure has to be kept going as well. I actually did say that. You just put supplies with the parts. We'll make the knives, and then when you can, you fall in and you do all the jobs as well. The only other good thing that I do like about it, because of what we've done and brought it up to the level that we brought it up to now, the knives sell themselves. I don't have to sit on the phone and start phoning around people asking them whether or not they want knives. If anything, when the phone rings, half the time I look at it and I go, "Oh God, no!" Here we go. I'm sitting there, and it's somebody else wanting another thing, wanting some more, and then we go. The order book is probably about yay thick so far. I've got to collate it up to now, and I think the last time I collated it, we were up to 800 or 900 knives in arrears. And we're probably way over that now as well. A couple of people that we've started doing new stuff with, if anybody's heard of Silver Fox Tools, we've just done an EDC all brass lamb foot for them. He wanted to dip his toe into the water. He said, we've never made knives, we've seen them. So we made him a sample, sent it up there. he tentatively put it onto the website one night and then phoned me back over the weekend and said, right, I've sold 68 of them. So the initial order of 100, yeah, we'll take that and any more that you can do. Yeah,
Brilliant.
and he said, yeah, welcome to Knife World and whatever. Be prepared to be pleasantly surprised and whatever. Sorry.
We were talking just earlier before we actually came on, because that's what it's looking like here. Where are you can you tell the punters out here where else you're selling in the world? Because you mentioned that you've got somebody in America that's selling them, and
yeah, there's James and Phil in America who's a big buyer. He actually came on. He bought 3 pocket knives from the Sheffield shop and tentatively inquired about buying a few more. So I contacted him and told him I'd give him the trade price on the knives that he'd had. He said, oh, brilliant, I'll just have a few. I think he took probably 30 or 40 at first, see how it goes, threw it out there. And his current order is for about £5,500 worth of knives. Yeah. Whatever figure that is, that's 200 or 300 plus, or something like that. And that's in 2 years, 2 and a bit years.
Most of his customers are in the chat at the minute, Michael. So
I'm not working on them at the minute. I'm busy talking to some people. Yeah.
I mean, I've about half of my subs are American. Out of the 13,000 I have, half are American. And it's the one question I get asked all the time: how am I going to get one? And all the time before, I've always had to say, we'll go to the Sheffield shop. And now it's so great to be able to say, you can get them there. You don't have to go to the Sheffield shop. You can get them there. And but here's one question. People often think that cutlers and knife makers are making this vast profit out of knives. And I think it's probably one of the worst thoughts that people can have. It's a complete myth, because the cutler is the one that probably gets the least amount out of that knife by the time it gets to your pocket. Is that right?
If you know, you're correct there. If you do the maths backwards, we'll pick up a figure, £100 knife, and then you take it out of one shop, then you halve it, and then you take it out of the next guy that imports it, you halve it again, and then you come down to us, and you may have halved it again, and then there's parts, overheads, and everything else on that. So you would be surprised, really, how much we produce a knife for, and what happens to it when it ends up into the shop. So yes, unfortunately, we are at the wrong end of the stick for all that. But if it wasn't for people like that, we'd be in a worse position, because not only will we have to make the knives, and then we'd have to start dealing with customers, and that'd be the catch-22. You wouldn't be able to do it because we're forever dealing with customers, and we can't make the knives because we're dealing with customers. But again, we need the customers to make the knives. It's a hard one to do that. Yeah.
But I just want that myth to be dispelled for those that don't know, that the cutler does not get very much out of the profit margin of a knife.
We get a living wage, just and the rest of it goes into running the company. And unfortunately, I'm the last in the queue usually, and I'll go, okay, right, fair enough. Crack on.
And that's even before you start talking what you were talking about earlier in terms of your raw materials. The prices are going up astronomically, and then you've got to think carefully about how you pass that on.
I've got to pass it. You've got to pass it on somehow, but you can't pass it all on like that at the end of the day, because there will be a finite limit to what people are willing to spend for a bog standard knife, as it were. There will come a point where it's just not feasible to do that. Then you have to look elsewhere, and that's when we start making things just that little bit special. The workback stuff, the stag stuff, and the likes. I mean, stag is another pain in the backside. That used to be £80 a kilo. It is now £25 a kilo, all courtesy of the dog chew market. They are just sweeping in and buying it all up with cash in hand to turn it into dog poo, unfortunately. Whereas we could turn it into something a lot nicer. So
but even the likes of stag, I see it all the time now in pet shops. for the dogs to chew.
Yeah,
Literally,
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
literally stag. It's amazing, and some of it is beautiful looking stag. The hornet, it's just beautiful, but yet it's there for a dog to chew. And you think I could make a lovely knife out of that.
Good
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, but I can't afford them to pay dog chew prices to come down and make something that's they're about £8 to £10 per piece, and then we've got to, as soon as we pick it up, the price starts going through the roof because we're physically doing something to it, and so I have to hunt around and find the best sources that I can, or the cheapest sources, or smaller quantities, really, at the end of the day, and so it goes. The other one bugbear that people keep asking is, can you get the dark stag, i.e. Samba? The embargo is still on that in India. Instead of waiting for it to drop off, they decided to go out there and poach all the deer instead. So the government, thankfully, stood in and said, no more trade in stag. So unfortunately, it was good for the deers, but bad for us. At the end of the day.
Okay, our last question that we've got here from the crowd before I revisit them. Any thought of changing? And this is a loaded one, Michael. So feel free to not answer it. Any thought of changing the name from A. Wright and Son to A. Harrison and Dad?
Randy,
I'll think about that one. No. People have asked me that one before. Why don't I stick my name on it? I've never been interested in doing that. I've always kept the company name. That I've always, every single company that I've worked for, and gone with that, and then put all my ability into that one. But in future, if actually he's capable of doing both and whatever, and if he does, kindly presented with grandchildren at some point and whatever, yes, that's up to him to do it to Harrison and Son and whatever. But Harrison, Tyzik and somebody else was one already. Harrison and Housen, Harrison Brothers. Yeah, we're out there somewhere already. So, whether there's room for another one.
Well, I've got 25 grandchildren. Can I send some your way?
Yeah, yes, please. Slave labour, no problem.
Absolutely, there's no problem. Pay them little, work them hard.
And I've got another question actually, and again, I have a sneaking suspicion I know what the answer is, given how busy you are.
Yeah, I saw that.
Gadget Gus, and I'm sure there'll be many takers for this. If you ever have fancy doing a weekend course, any chance of doing a taster day of making knives?
How to learn a knife in a weekend that takes 5 years? Yeah, okay.
If you've taught 12 people,
you can do a lot of damage in a weekend.
Most of these people will be pissed as well, Michael, so you couldn't trust them.
Oh yeah. Well, alcohol, knives, and fire. I think you're the great three combinations for any bloke.
Sounds good to me.
I can't say it's a definitive no, but if things went particularly pear-shaped, you could move that way around and do something like that and whatever. I have no plans to, unfortunately, in the minute and whatever, but it's always something you can pull out the fire and do.
Well, I guarantee you there'd be an audience for it, even if it was just a one-off every now and again, because the interest in actually the production techniques, especially for the traditional knives, is
so cool and
really.
The only thing is, though, we'd probably have to book the St. John's ambulance, and they don't come cheap anymore, do they?
No.
Here's a question that's just in my head, because we've been talking about it quite a lot. Each year in England now, we have a show called the Sharp Show. I don't know whether you've heard of it.
I've heard of it, yes. I've not avoided you specifically, but it's if we were to do that, we would need stock to take, and
you don't have any, of course.
Yeah, somehow trying to produce what we're trying to produce now, and then produce stock for the show to go down there. There's a finite number of hours in a day and a finite number of days in a week.
It's
maybe something that we might do, kind of thing, but I can't say if it's never really been up there on our radar to go and say. I know people do go to the Sharp Show and they go to the Blade Show in the US. The like of I did partake in that with somebody called Imagical Design back in 2000, and we won best new knife innovator or something or other. It was a wide opener that he designed and we collaborated with. So yeah, I've sort of stuck my toe in the water a bit with that. But as for us physically going, no, there are no plans yet. But never say.
I mean, here's a sort of thing, because myself and Justin, we go to it anyway, and Mikey goes to it as well. But it's a sort of thing that I would love to help out. Just small makers, I just have a passion for, because they make the knives I like. So the more I can get them out there, to me, that's my goal in the channel, is to get small makers. I mean, we would actually run the table for you. You know, you throw us a stack of knives, we'll sell them for you. You know, give us your, you know, as long as you've got your card number, that's it. It just goes, you know, get it paid into the bank there and then. I just think, you know, I would love to be able to help in that way. If you ever wanted a presence at it, you know, all you'd have to do is give us a wee sign for the front of the table and some knives, and we would quite happily talk about them all day long to anybody who wants to. But it's just an offer that's there. Stick it in the back of your mind. You know, it's a bit late for this show, but
no. Food for thought. That food for thought. Yeah.
We'd quite happily.
I mean, we're cheap as well. I mean, we work for knives, Michael. So
I know the job well. Yeah.
No, it would genuinely be an act of love on our behalf, because it's what we like. So it's there. Keep it in the back of your head. Never feel free to just never feel free.
It's open and whatever. I'll run it through by Ashley and whatever, and you never know, because we've done this year, haven't we, already? So
it's done. Yeah,
but it's like you say, Michael. You need the stock there to do it, and if you're already behind in terms of the orders, there's no point in trying to sell more stuff that you don't actually have.
I did get somebody once just say to me, well, it's quite simple, just to make more.
Oh.
Just make the weeks longer and days longer.
But the thing about Sharp Show that I think you would have a real edge is that a lot of Sharp Show is custom makers. You know, there's a lot of custom makers. There's a lot of people that go to Sharp Show, don't have the money for custom knives. They just want to buy a knife at Sharp Show. And the knife that's coming in, you know, at Arthur Wright, you know, just their basic models. You don't want any fancy stuff, but basic models, and maybe a couple of, you know, ones that have got filed back springs. I just think there's an option to get more people interested out there that are knife people. Yeah, that, you know, would definitely because there's nobody doing cheap knives there. Not cheap knives. That's a terrible word. But there's nobody doing just
affordable,
working knives. Yeah, working knives.
Working knives.
So
exactly.
The Trevor Ablett patterns on that kind of thing or whatever. Because that's what he put down himself as a common cutler. For that, he's knives for the working man and everybody that wants to carry one without being too expensive or getting to the point where you bought a knife and you fear for taking it out because it's far too much money to lose and to abuse.
Most knife lovers have their knives in little boxes and take them out to polish them and fiddle with them. They don't use the blooming things, you know. And I'm you know, I have so many knives I couldn't use the knives I've got. At another 100 years to live, I could never get them through. But I love using my Arthur Wrights because they're just fantastic tools.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Now Mikey was feeling that one because he's got a few knives that never see the light of day. Simply now, and when I say a few, what does a few mean, Mikey?
500 knives.
Get out of here, Mikey.
He's got more knives than you have stock, Michael.
Yeah, he certainly has.
Well, I would say he has about 1,000-ish.
We talked about this.
But Michael, so I mean, Stephen was asking you earlier about plans for Christmas, and basically that you don't plan that far ahead. So what was I going to say? What have we got to look forward to in the coming months? You mentioned the Twisted Assisted Special Edition. Where would people buy knives from you guys?
Well, in the pipeline at the minute, there's a Twisted Assisted one. How long that will take up, anybody's guess, because we haven't even got a design yet. We just know he wants a long knife. If you look out for Heine Haynes in the next possibly couple of weeks, something on the same lines but different with their twist on it will appear. And what everybody can't tell is that they're actually in that tray just there. But I'm not going to turn the phone around and show anybody. You'll have to wait for that one.
Oh, come on.
Exclusive.
No, I've got to keep you keen and treat you mean. Yeah.
It's funny. Mikey sort of joined this podcast recently, and our podcast is quite a lot about traditional knives. But Mikey, up until Sharp Show last year, never had a traditional knife.
No,
he was all the big lockers, the big folders. That was his gang. Yeah. So we met him last year at Sharp Show, and we got talking to him, and we were buying knives, and he was with our company, and he is now a complete. He's now a complete traditional lover, and his choice is buying. I mean, Arthur Wright has been is just mainstay of knives that he's buying in traditional fashion.
He's seen the error of his ways. Yes.
Yeah. I've gone from not liking Barlows to now having about 30 or 40 of them, and I've now got probably 15 Arthur Wrights and two customs. So yeah, I'm doing well.
Thank you very much.
He's single-handedly keeping you in business. Now,
he certainly is. I know what's happening to it now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We've got a serious question for you from another maker. Joe LaPietro is a Canadian who produces some lovely friction folders. And what he was asking was, what are the difficulties you find in expanding your business to keep up with demand?
Hours in the day.
Yeah. And he's a sort of solo operation himself, so I mean he probably understands it completely.
This is one of his knives, Michael, here that he makes, a friction folder, and
nice.
He has a CNC machine. I don't know how you can see that. These blades are stepped. Can you see that?
Vaguely, it's very small on the screen, but yeah, right. I'll take your word for it. Yeah,
it's a beautiful knife. In a high-grade steel, it's a modern friction folder, 20 CV, beautifully made knife with my Carta handle. So he's just starting out. Like, he invested an awful lot of money in a CNC machine. When he finished college, he went to, much like Beth, it was more of an art design that he got in college. And he's making now these that he's selling over here as well. And it's time to get it done because he's working and doing knives just to make the bills fit.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, you're talking about your big constraint is time in the day, the number of people who are actually doing it, and the equipment that you've got at hand.
So many factors. At the end of the day, it is down to the hours in the day, the equipment that's working, things that go wrong, the phone rings. My alarm goes off at 6:30 in the morning. My brain's usually started around about 4 o'clock in the morning. I have a vague plan of how I'm going to start the day. I press the first email button and everything goes to pot from there. And then you take the day as it comes. Some days are good days, and other days I can run around like a headless chicken and sit back and go, I haven't done anything. But I've worked myself into the floor and I've got nothing to show for it. But then there are other days the world will leave you alone and you can get on and do stuff. But sometimes mine, it's just sourcing materials. Yeah. And what it's become the pain in the backside and whatever. Yeah. The next one to search for is solder, because the price of that is going through the roof as well now to the new tin.
Well, here's hoping that the
answer to the question is really simply hours in the day and trying to manage it, what you do, or even as daft as saying, right, I will only answer phones and calls up till 12 o'clock, and then from dinner time till whatever time you finish 6 o'clock, I lock the doors, turn the phones off, and try to get something done. I think I've just given myself my new business plan there.
Yeah, I need to remember to ring in the mornings now.
Yes, ring in the morning, not in the afternoon. Can I ask you a wee question? Because it's something that fascinated me last time we were talking to Ashley. Is that how true is it that all of the equipment, the machinery that you're working with, is the original machinery from?
Nope. We're going on a tour.
I can't see the camera, so yes.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
And if we go full length of the shop, yes, this.
It's a proper workshop, that.
Yes, it's a proper workshop, and downstairs the other way to do is I'll have to do I'll fall downstairs and show you. We'll go into the press shop, and I will show you the presses. You will only see presses like this in the museums, but they still work. They do the job. And turn the lights on, and everybody sort of get pleasantly surprised when I show you.
Oh, I love it.
On there, the old Sheffield press.
How old are we talking, Michael?
When we go to the turn of the last century, and I don't mean the 2000s, I mean the 1800s.
So about the same age as Paddy, then.
Yeah. In fact, I think somewhere on there, it's probably his initials scraped on it. So. And not only one, but we have two. That's the guillotine.
That's amazing.
I love it.
That in the corner there is a drop stamp, not been used in anger for many years, and that is several parts of a trip hammer and whatever at the end of the day. So, authentic old, like me, authentic and old machinery. Yeah.
Does your background help you in fixing these machinery when you have breakdowns, or do you have to?
My background, apart from other things, I'm a fully trained fitter as well. Because when you do the tooling of the jobs, tooling doesn't break all the time, and once you make it, it's there for years and months. So there was only a finite amount of things that I got to do. So I was then roped into production, and one of the fitter guys there said, "He's quite handy, your son. I'll take him on," and he trained me to be a fitter as well. So not only can I work the machinery, I can repair the machinery. And when we were doing swords for the British Army, I don't know if anybody's aware of that as well, I actually made and designed the machinery to make the fuller in the swords at the same time. So,
well, that's amazing.
You didn't make them for the Navy at all, no?
Yes. Every single sword in the British Army collection from, let's see, probably 2005 to 2010, 2012, something like that.
Right, because my son was an officer in the Royal Navy, so I know he bought an older sword, so I don't know whether that wouldn't have hit that era. It would have been before that, I think.
Well, if you see any swords that have got two Pooley swords written on them, and if they were between the 10 and about 8 to 10, 12 years ago, fair chance that they were made here by me, and that's when Ashley was starting out, and doing the stuff.
What a lovely bit of history that I didn't know.
But it's a history that keeps on giving. I mean, all the way back with those presses, and then all the way forward, and it's still making such a huge contribution. That's just incredible. Absolutely fantastic. The chat's just blown up. That wee impromptu tour.
It's gone mad.
Everybody is like drooling. I've done. But it's all like proper shop and fantastic.
Oh yeah. The word handmade means it here.
Yeah.
Me and Justin were trying to get over this year, and we couldn't make it this year. But I mean, next year would be I know you'd find it okay. Me and Justin come over and video today in the shop showing people working. You know, that Ashley in bed.
Yeah. No, certainly. Yeah, love to.
You drinking coffee in the office.
Feet on the desk. You're swanning around us.
Taking it easy.
Yeah, I would love to, because that's something that is one big thing that I really want to do. It's one of those things. It's just hard getting that the time to get these fitted in, but it'll be one thing definitely next year is my goal next year. And obviously, we'll have to bring the big lad along with us. He's the only Cockney Sheffield northerner that I know.
Well, some
Look
turn
at
them
Gus.
around.
Gus
Yeah.
wants to be a 55-year-old Cutler.
Yeah, I just think he wants to hand
Apprentice.
his notice in, and I'll start on Monday. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Brilliant,
an offer.
Gus.
There's an offer. And Joe, the best thing, Joe, who's the Canadian knife maker, was just saying he's very impressed with your press. He says that's a sweet press, very sweet press. I'm not sure
It's
if you.
not when it kicks back. Yeah.
No, that's just that's one thing that I really would love to. I'd love to try a wee thing. Just it was a knife that you'd said there, and it's a knife pattern that I've wanted, and I never even thought to ask if he made it or not. I don't know why I've not thought this. And the only place that I've found them was over in Europe, in Knives and Tools or something was selling them, and it's the Tackler. I've wanted a Tackler for ages, and I didn't realize you made them as part of your thing.
The fact was ours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Elliot's used to call it the Jed knife for some strange reason,
Yeah.
and then when I came up here, they call it the Tackler, which is sheepfoot knife, and then it's swept down to be a Warncliffe style end.
But it's not a sway. It's not.
It's a very nice ergonomic look to the knife as well. So
yeah, it doesn't sway up at the back. There's not an upswept at the back of the handle.
It's a standard Lampfoot haft.
Right. Oh, well, I'm going to buy one this week, and I just want to have a wee test to see how many other people, when I put it up on the channel, want to see what a Tackler's like. So I'll order one now. I'll give you a ring tomorrow with the money, and I'll order a Tackler. And it would just be interesting to see, because I want to see if it spreads over to the boys who live in America, that they'll want maybe some taken over to the other fellas. Just
that's not on James and Co.'s range at the minute, that one.
Right. Well, there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
That will be interesting to see if we get what sort of an outcome comes from that Tackler. I'll get that. I'll pay you for that tomorrow. And yeah, really excited. That's another little thing that I like to getting a pattern that's not really used, because you very rarely see a Tackler. I can't remember the last time somebody showed a Tackler.
I'd just be
on
interested
the YouTube.
It's not a pattern I'm familiar
It's
with.
a beautiful knife. I don't know why I've waited this long to sort of find out more about it, but yeah, definitely that will be interesting.
Well, I hate to do this to you guys.
It's that time.
It's that time.
I don't want
they always make it my job.
Yeah.
But I actually feel not guilty about it, Michael, because I
likes
know
the
how
power.
busy you are. Look, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here, and thank you so much for joining us. The guys in the chat, the folk in the chat are absolutely over the moon, and they were they've been delighted to hear you talk to us, Michael. So it's been a privilege.
It really has. And we want to back on again. Now, not next week or the way. In a few months' time, I'd love to get maybe the both of you back on again, and just have a chat again. It's lovely. It's lovely when you see the father and son together. That would be, nice. Although he's a bit rough around the edges, it is nice. It's nice to know he comes from
he's very rough around the edges, yeah.
Well, you know what they say, I blame the parents, Michael, so there's no getting...
I've blamed his mother as well, yeah.
Jesse wants to see a knife, though, boys.
Jesse wants to see a knife? Well,
yeah.
Michael, you're the one that providing all our Sheffield goodness.
Look at him, Jesse.
There you go. There you go. Ashley may not be here, but he is definitely here in spirit.
Oh, we've got these.
Yep.
Well,
Spear point, lamb's foot.
Can I just show my favorite little work knife of them all? Where is my favorite little work knife of them all?
Get it.
Oh, I have so many blooming knives here. I need to
Give them a click point, Jess. Look at that. See?
Oh, there's a lovely clip point. But I just love the basic wooden handled. And I think your rosewood is probably the best rosewood out there, to be honest, in my opinion. It really is nice rosewood. I can't think where my knives are. They're all in here. All my Barlows are in the other boxes. Them knives that I use every day.
Yeah, those ones that you use every day that you can't find.
Every day.
Oh, I can't think of it. I'll put it somewhere and it's out of the way. Let's let it go anyway.
That's the one that you just sold, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's in your list of 12.
My list of 12. It could be, yes.
Michael, look, before these guys get anything more distracted, thank you again very, very much indeed. Hold on a second or two afterwards, and we'll just say a quick goodbye afterwards. But I'm going to sign off and say goodbye to everybody in the chat. So to everybody who joined us, thank you very much. I'm not going to name everybody because there's nearly 50 people in the chat now, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing up tonight, and apologies for the cock up last night. I that was me, all on me. I put the wrong food in, Michael. What are you going to do? But thanks again for showing in this time, and hopefully Michael hasn't been put off by the experience, and will come back and show us some more great stuff.
No, sorry, the short-term memory loss has kicked in, so no, I won't remember it next time.
All the
thank
best,
you guys. Thank you for turning up, and I hope you enjoyed some of the nonsense that I had to say.
Very much so.
Very much.
I'm
Okay.
sure they did.
All the
Goodbye
best,
to
guys.
everybody in YouTube land. Nice.
See you, Mikey.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
You stay there, Michael.